Welcome, friends. Welcome to the studio. Today we're out front and I've got two full-size beer kegs. And what I want to do today is turn one of them into a charcoal burning vertical rotisserie for making tacos al pastor. And I've got a second one in case I completely screw up and I need a spare. But the second one is also here because I'm just going to be doing like a rapid prototyping type deal with this. I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to try things, and then I've got this one that I can come back to later and do it properly if I don't quite get it right with this one, which, as a prototype, I probably won't. Now, first off, let's talk about the kegs. I bought these kegs. I went to a keg broker and I bought them. At one point, they belonged to the Miller Brewing Company, and they have reached the end of their useful life as beer kegs. So I picked both of these up, and I made sure that when I bought them, they had removed the valve and the stem. So there's no pressure inside of these. And if you're going to go out and start cutting into a beer keg, make sure the pressure is released. Otherwise, you're going to get really wet. I'm even going to try to do a little bit of welding. And I'm not a welder. I'm not a metal worker at all. So I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes and people are going to leave their comments about how I can do it better. But it doesn't really matter to me because I'm doing it. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to do is cut this open. I want to make two doors at the front that are going to act as kind of flaps to reflect heat back onto the meat as it cooks. So I'm going to mark out these doors. I'm going to drill holes for the hinges. And then I'm going to cut the flaps out. Okay, I got the doors cut out. Quite thick, heavy stainless steel in this keg because it was pressure rated to 60 psi, so it is good, solid construction. Now, the cut edges are really, really sharp, so I'm going to switch over to this flapper wheel and just clean them up and make them nice and smooth. Now, I've got the hole cut out at the front. I'm not going to put the doors on just yet because I need to have this space open while I figure out the next steps. Now, the idea, and a whole bunch of the ideas that I've had so far, initially was to put two steel rods coming out so that this could be out here, the spit could be out here, and I could adjust it back and forth towards the fire. What I've learned is you want it as close to the fire as possible. So I'm going to drill a hole in the top, and the spit will be in one spot all the time. Okay, so now I need to build something down here that this can slide into while it spins. Time to start welding. My apologies to professional welders everywhere. Let's see if I can do this without sticking the electrode to what I'm trying to weld. My welding rod is officially licensed by NASCAR, so it must be good. Now, it's been a couple of weeks since I've worked on this project. I'm doing this in my spare time, and one of the things that I've stumbled over and had a bit of trouble with is fabricating the firebox inside the keg. What's actually going to hold the charcoal? And I started out trying to weld something. I was going to use expanded steel and some... My welding skills, they suck. I mean, really they do. It's not what I do for a living. It's not even what I do for a hobby. I did it once upon a time 30 years ago when I worked in the bush and I'd have to weld something back together in order to get back to town. I could do it in a pinch. And I struggled. What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? And then I came across these. They are stainless steel firebox pieces that fit inside a Weber kettle. And it occurred to me they're sort of half round, they're about the right size. If I got 3 or maybe 4 of them and bolt them inside the keg, I could fill those with charcoal, and they might be the right distance away from the spit. So I'm going to get to work with drilling holes in the back of these, drilling holes through the back of the keg, bolting it all together. It's going to get me there quicker too, because the fabrication is going to be fairly easy. So let's get going on that. Okay, now I just need to figure out how many of these I should put inside, whether it's 3 or 4. And I need to leave enough space so that I can get charcoal in here. But I want them packed close enough that I can actually get enough fire. Looks like 3. So I'll go ahead and mark those spots and start drilling. Okay, so the firebox is in. I've got these 3 charcoal holders bolted into the back of the keg. Now, it's not exactly what I had envisioned. Long term, I don't think this is the solution, but short term, just to test out my idea, I think this is going to work fine. The next thing we have to do is figure out the spit. So I wasn't sure if I was going to use an electric rotisserie motor, but I think this is the way to go, just for ease of cooking, so I can walk away and don't have to be worried about turning the rotisserie all the time by hand. So it's got this bracket. I just need to figure out a way to screw this bracket into the top of the keg and then cut the spit to be the right size and length. Let's get to work. Okay, so we've got fire in the keg. Still trying to figure this out. Eventually, I'll be able to do this in my sleep, but right now, still trying to figure it out. Fire started really easily. I've got lump charcoal in there. I'm sort of up in the air whether I'm going to feed this with lump charcoal or maybe briquettes. Got a lot of heat coming out of here, and I think it's going to work. Now, I've already identified a bunch of problems. I'm sure as you've been watching this, you've said that's not going to work, and I've already got those things in my brain. I've got the second keg, so once I get through a couple of cooks and I figure out what works and what doesn't work and what I want to change, once I figure that stuff out, I will tackle that second keg and I will make it better. But I got to tell you, the heat off the front here is phenomenal. And these doors are just going to sort of trap the heat a little bit around the trompeau or whatever we decide to make on a spit. The options are endless. Okay, so I'm gonna let this burn off for a couple of hours. There's a bit of a coating on the inside of the keg that I wanna get rid of completely before I start cooking food in it. So come on back in the next couple of weeks because we're gonna do tacos al pastor based on our research in Mexico City. Check out that series to get an idea of what we're gonna do. Probably also do a bunch of different shawarmas, gyros, and a Halifax doner. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.